Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tips with Toni Topic Tuesdays. My name is Toni Marinucci, and I'm a registered dietitian, owner of Diet Tips with Toni Marinucci, MSRD LLC. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I just had a little minor glitch on Facebook, but I think we're good now. Okay, so before I start my live video tonight, which is all about coconut oil, I always start with a few updates about who I am, how I can help you, and some things that you might want to catch up on. How I decided to start my online private practice was for two reasons. Number one, I noticed that more people needed individualized nutrition care, and that's what my private practice provides, really for people who struggle with emotional eating, and they tend to use food as kind of a clutch or the reason why they just can't get a grasp on how to manage their life and their stress, and we utilize food as a tool to help them do that rather than as another reason why they can't do that. I also provide education, which is why I go live every Tuesday and provide you guys with a reliable resource of nutrition information. And I believe that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I want to kind of help you sift through all that fluff. And that's why I do my education and group talks, but I also provide individualized care, because although the recommendations that I provide are general, I do strongly believe that everyone needs to be, their diet needs to be closely looked at by an RD to really see if there's some areas of opportunity for improvement. Hey, thanks for tuning in. My Balanced Breakfast Challenge has officially launched. So it is a free 21-day challenge where you get daily tips from me, 3 exclusive webinars for only those who join, and a tip sheet to help guide you incorporate a healthy balanced breakfast, additional healthy eating guidelines and regimens. It's completely free. It did already start. However, I am accepting people to still join. I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed by all the information that would get thrown at you. But if you're interested in doing the free Balanced Breakfast Challenge, there's a link on my Instagram and then also on www.tipswithtoni.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you on Instagram, I say this every video, but it's true. I'm going to be looking at my Facebook camera. I can record it better and then put it on my vlog or YouTube channel. And if you want to catch up on old videos, go to www.tipswithtoni.com. I'm going to address any questions at the end. So if you have a question, submit it, and I'd be happy to address it afterwards. If you have not subscribed to the Tips with Toni podcast, please do so. Also, write a comment or a review. That's what helps people find my podcast. I also am on the Gym Wits podcast as a regular as their nutrition expert. So subscribe to the Gym Wits podcast as well and write a review if you like it. If you don't like it, don't worry. Don't write anything. And that's about it. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. I'm really excited about this topic. Coconut oil is claimed to be the fix-it for everything out there superfood. Well, let me tell you what I learned and what I've kind of already knew, but was a little bit hesitant to even do this video because I feel like some people are going to be like, but what about this and what about that, and throw all these other things at me. But here we go. All right. I don't know who you are, so unfortunately I cannot accept you to be in my life. But thank you for tuning in. All right. Coconut oil. Is it a superfood? Well, the term superfood is not an actual term that people tend to just kind of throw out there to give something more meaning. Meaning, are there foods that have like a crazy amount of nutritional benefits, and that if I were to call it anything that's really good for you, and I wanted to really, instead of saying it's really, really good for you, I might call it a superfood, but there's no real criteria, for example, that makes something a superfood versus something that's organic. There's a criteria that these foods have to follow to put it as certified organic. The term superfood is kind of just thrown around pretty loosely, but either way, the public perceives a superfood as something that's really, really good for you. The truth about coconut oil, though, is it's mostly saturated fat. And right now, although people will argue, right now studies show that too much saturated fat in the diet is linked to heart disease. I'm going to get into the more of the science about coconut oil, the claims out there, and what is making people feel that maybe the coconut oil isn't acting like other saturated fats. And we'll get into the science of that. We're going to talk about how much coconut oil is too much. We're going to talk about the alternatives to coconut oil. If you're using coconut oil now and you're hearing me say that it's probably not the best oil to utilize, what other oils can you use? And I'm going to give you that at the end, as long as for those of you who want, I have an entire PDF of the best oils, what their best uses are for, and their nutrition component to it, and with the proper cooking temperature to utilize them, because when we cook certain oils, they become denatured and they lose the nutritional benefits that naturally are occurring in them. We'll get into that in a little bit. Thanks, everyone. Hey, Taylor. Okay, so that is what we're going to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the claims with coconut oil. Coconut claims that it can help you lose weight. It claims that it's heart healthy. Some people make heart healthy claims about coconut oil, that it can treat diabetes. Well, as you know, as a registered dietitian, I talk and provide my recommendations based off of science. There are only a handful of studies utilizing coconut oil actually using coconut oil in their studies, which means that there's not enough studies. Their studies aren't even large, but even if they were large, a handful of studies does not prove any sort of factual evidence or strong enough evidence that something is going to be beneficial to your health. There are a lot of studies using MCT oils, and people will argue that coconut oil has the same bonds as MCT oils, but that's not true either. So the claims that they're making are based off of studies off MCT oils, not off coconut oil, but even the MCT oil studies are promising, but they're also not coconut oil. And that's like a whole other topic that I would be happy to go into another time. But for the purposes of the fact that I only have you for another 20 minutes, we're going to stick to just the coconut oil. Now let's talk about the claims. There's claims that it helps with weight loss, because they say that when you incorporate coconut oil, you won't feel as hungry. Well, coconut oil is all fat. And when we have a high fat diet, we're going to feel kind of satiated, right? When you think about if you have a high fat meal, you feel really full. So that's probably part of it. But it still has the same amount of calories if a tablespoon of coconut oil versus a tablespoon of olive oil. So when you have too many calories, it's not going to actually help you to lose weight, okay? Heart health, it claims that it's heart healthy because some cases are showing that coconut oil might raise the good cholesterol in the body, meaning the HDL cholesterol, but it also raises the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. So yes, it's increasing one, but it's also increasing the other, and that one's not really good for us either. So debunking that right there. It's claimed to treat diabetes because, it's fat and it's not sugar, so therefore it should help with diabetes. Well, people with diabetes are at a greater risk for heart disease, and they're instructed to keep their saturated fat to a decreased amount. So generally, we want to keep our total saturated fat intake to 10% or less of our total calories. So equivalent to like a 2,000 calorie diet, if you were to have 10% of your calories coming from saturated fat, that would be equivalent to about 13 grams. And that would be your maximum for the entire day. But if you have diabetes or if you have high cholesterol, it's recommended to have your total saturated fat intake to closer to even like 5%, upwards to 7%. It's not even recommended to go up to that total 10%. And a good example of that is pretty much if you were to have 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, it has 14 grams of saturated fat. So 1 tablespoon of coconut oil would be the total maximum saturated fat you could have for the entire day if you were someone who has diabetes or high cholesterol. And by the way, that's more saturated fat than a tablespoon of lard. So it has a lot of saturated fat. Now, by doing that, you have to think about, are you also having fried foods in the diet? Are you also having, 2 slices of cheddar cheese has about 12 grams of saturated fats? Are you eating tons of cheese in the diet? Are there other forms of saturated fat? Is that your only source of saturated fat? If it is, and you're on a calorie-controlled diet, then maybe you could argue that it's fine. And I'm not saying that it doesn't fit in the diet, and we're going to talk about how you could fit it in and how you would do that. But in general, these claims that it's helping with diabetes and high cholesterol and weight management, not necessarily true, okay? Now, let's just break down before I go into greater detail, let's just break down what we do know about fats, okay? All fats have saturated fat, unsaturated fat, which are monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. We, as Americans, especially the Western diet, we tend to get a ton of saturated fat. No, don't worry about that. We're not missing out on that. The polyunsaturated fats are omega-3s and omega-6s. We get enough omega-6s, but studies continuously show that the Americans are not getting enough omega-3s. And omega-3s are necessary. Our body does not make them. They have essential amino acids that our body needs to utilize. And if we don't take it in our diet, then we're not going to get it. So what am I saying? I'm saying that we get typically plenty of saturated fat in the diet, not enough unsaturated fat, not enough omega-3 saturated fats. Okay, so we then need to not focus on coconut oil. We need to focus on things like avocado and flaxseed oil and olive oil, and think of those as our oils, because chances are our diet isn't getting enough of that. Okay, so I hope that clarified some stuff for you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. All right, so let's see, what else did I want to talk about? If you are going to have coconut oil, then we need to know that, for the entire day, generally recommended for the whole day, we're going to want to get our coconut oil, or we want to get our fats from whole food sources. I'm going to say that like most of the time. You want to be eating avocados. You want to be using like flax or chia seeds in your oatmeal or your cereal or your yogurt. That's where we're having like pumpkin seeds or walnuts or sesame seeds as a snack, or sesame seeds on your salad, That's where we want to be getting it. But when it comes to your cooking oil, it's generally recommended to have about 4 teaspoons per day. We want to use them sparingly because our foods naturally have fats occurring in them, and we're just kind of using it for flavor, and we're using it because our body does need fat. We don't want to have no fat in the diet. But like I was just saying earlier, we need more of the heart-healthy fats, okay? We get plenty of saturated fat, so you don't really need coconut oil, but if you're going to use it, then I would encourage you to use about a teaspoon of it for cooking. I know some people put it in their coffee and they'll do like a whole ton more of that. You don't need that much of it. And when you do get it, you want to make sure that it's cold pressed and unrefined. So that way because there are a couple things that'll claim that there's these heart healthy benefits, but they're definitely lost in the refined versions. And because of the fact that it's so heat sensitive, it doesn't do well in high heat. So if you're going to utilize it, you want to do it in like a low heat baking, or almost in like a sauce or dressing type of thing. And you don't want to really have it cooked, so that way the potential benefits that are not even that strong of a benefit could actually, you can get the benefits of that. So unrefined, cold press, okay? All right. Now, little side note, I will say that I'm going to be on the Dr. Oz show on Monday, May 14th at 1 o'clock if in the New York area, or check your local listings of where you live if you're not in the New York area. But you're going to find that episode really interesting, because that's all about what's the better butter. And I make a case for avocado butter, and I teach you how to make it. So I'm not going to give it away now because I want you to watch the episode. So watch Dr. Oz on Monday, May 14th, 1 o'clock p.m. Fox, check your local listings, and you can get more about that. All right. So what else did I want to talk about? All right, so we know why coconut oil. You know what's funny is, like, I thought that I did so much research before I was going to come on here about coconut oil, because you hear it so much in the media that it's like the best thing. So I was trying to make a case for it. Like, I was trying to find something that would make it like, okay, like maybe this is how I can tell people it's not that bad. But honestly, it's not like it's bad. There's no good or bad about it. It's just the claims behind it, there's no science behind it. Like, there's no science behind it. And I actually know registered dietitians who are okay with it. And I really need to ask them why. Because what I read, I can't see anything in that. So I don't know about that. But what do you think if it fits your macros? So, if it's within your, listen, if it's not in excess, meaning if it's in your macros, meaning if it's within your, carb, protein, fat breakdown, then it's fine, because chances are you're still not exceeding the amount of total fat, but it could be exceeding the total of saturated fat. Like, I know people that do bulletproof coffee, and they're doing upwards of 400 calories, which is almost 3 to 4 tablespoons of coconut oil, and skipping breakfast completely, and saying that that's what keeps them feeling full all day. Well, you're eating straight fat. Of course it's going to keep you full all day. Are you getting any other nutritional benefits from that? No. So would I advocate for that? Probably not. If you're doing it, then the rest of your day has to have no saturated fat, because you already are totally maxed out. Because 1 tablespoon of coconut oil is your saturated fat for the day, especially if you're trying to be heart healthy. So if you're doing a lot more of that, then the rest of your day, you need to be doing lean proteins. And I think if you're just tuning in, but what we need more unsaturated fats in the diet. So that's going to lead me to my next point. So what oil should you be using? Avocado oil. It's the best because it has a ton of monounsaturated fats, which are great for your heart. And they do well in high heat. So meaning you can cook it, you can broil it, and it's not going to denature, and you're still going to get those nutritional benefits. Olive oil is super versatile. Extra virgin olive oil is usually better in a dressing. Regular olive oil is going to be good for cooking. Really great healthy fats in there. Flaxseed oil has the highest amount of omega-3s. It just tends to be, it doesn't do well with any cooking at all. Like, it's just good for dressings, and you want to make sure that you keep it in your refrigerator so it can keep those nutritional benefits to it. So flaxseed oil is like really, really great, but just can't cook with it. All right. I have a PDF. If you're just tuning in, I have a PDF of the oils and their fat content and what's good for them, whether it's for dressings, for salads, for cooking, baking, broiling, all that stuff. So if you want that, send me an email, www.tipswithtoni.com, and I will email you that PDF. Okay? All right, so to conclude, we want to use our oil sparingly. We want to choose heart-healthy oils. If you are using saturated fat, if you are using coconut oil, then you want to keep it to like about 1 teaspoon, and you want to do unrefined, cold pressed, and try to get your heart-healthy fats from things like avocados, flaxseed or chia seeds, walnuts, sesame seeds, stuff like that. All right. If you want the PDF, send me an email, www. Oh no, that's my website. Send me an email to tipswithtoni, Toni with an I, @gmail.com. If you are interested in a free 15-minute discovery call to find out if you'd like to work with me individually, I am offering that as well. So you can send me an email to tipswithtoni@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to set up a 15-minute phone consult with you just to see if my services would fit you, and if you would like working with me. So that's more for the individualized care. And like I said, I really specialize with people who struggle with emotional eating or just managing life and using food as a crutch, and we're helping them to use food as a way to help them manage their stress rather than as a way to use it to manage their stress, if that makes sense. All right, if you'd like to join my Balanced Breakfast Challenge, you'd be getting in a little bit late, so it might be a little bit overwhelming, but there's a ton of great information there. It's completely free for 21 days. You're going to get a ton of information from me. And if you want Also, too, I do live workshops, live nutrition workshops. So if you are in the New York area and you want me to come to your job or your school and provide nutrition talks, I'd be more than happy to do that. All right. Now I'm going to open it up for questions. Are there any questions? Oh, I have some comments. I can't see them, though. I have some comments on Facebook, but I unfortunately can't see them. Facebook's being weird. So, hi, Facebook friends. I can't see your comments. Please try to submit again if you have a question. Oh my goodness, I don't know why this is. It's really funny. I put a post today about technology and I'm really not good at it. Like, I'm not good at all. I hired a business coach to help me with this stuff, but I almost think I just need a new MacBook. That might be it. But all right, let me just see if I have any other questions on Instagram. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for my Facebook friends. I cannot see the questions. Hello. All right, I can't see them. So what I'm going to do is any questions on Facebook that I cannot see, I'll try my best to answer them via text. But what I can also do is do a live, when I do my live next week, address the questions in that. Today's really not my day. Like when it comes to technology, like I wrote a post about it. It's been interesting. But luckily, my business coach is awesome, and she's helped me so much. All right, so we're going to end with a quote. So I want you to read this quote. I read it by the doctor the other day, and it is literally like took the words right out of my mouth. So we'll end with that. All right, so Dr. Katz, he co-authored a 2014 review of dietary patterns that are best for health in the annual review of public health. And he says, there is no one nutrient that's responsible for all health ills, and there is no one nutrient that will make us healthy. It really is the overall dietary pattern. Dietary patterns consistently associated with good health tend to be low in saturated fat, but not because they focus on saturated fat. Rather, it's because they're made up of the most nutritious foods preferentially. Those foods tend to be low in saturated fat, just as they are also low in salt and sugar and free of trans fat and so forth. Those foods are also minimally processed and close to nature, including vegetables, fruits, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. There is no pixie dust involved. There is no magic formula, and there is no scapegoat. Wholesome foods in sensible combinations could be our salvation. Hallelujah. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. All right, so that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will leave this video up on my live on Instagram. On Facebook, you can go back and view it anytime. On Instagram, when it expires in 24 hours, it will be on my website, www.tipswithtoni.com, so you can go back, refer to it, and listen if you're just tuning in. Thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful night.